Hello, this video is for Chemistry 221, Lab 2, Density and Graphing, but you may also be watching this for Chemistry 151, Lab 5, which is the same lab. So you'll want to do the pre-lab before we begin, but there's a lot that they want me to explain about Excel and graphing, so I'll go through this with you. So do your pre-lab assignment in your lab notebook. Your instructor will check this at the beginning of lab. So they might have you send your graphs or something before you do the lab. You'll want to have the title and date, and you should be doing this routinely with all of your pre-labs. And then a graphing assignment. So in today's lab, you'll use Excel to make 2 graphs. Before this, it's a useful exercise to make a graph by hand. So in your lab notebook, graph the data below, following the principles of good graph given in the lab introduction. Draw a trend line and then calculate the slope. Use a ruler for your graph. If your notebook doesn't already have graph paper, you can tape a piece of graph paper into your notebook. So you can just print out some graph paper or buy it at the store, or get creative if you can't do either of those things. I don't have a printer at home, so I would not fault you. Alright, so, and then use the whole width of your page for your graph. So this is the data that you'll be graphing. And then you'll want to include some data tables for today's lab with a ruler so that you can easily record your data while you're watching the lab. And then you'll want to leave some space to write observations while you're doing the lab. You'll want to include small errors and your frustrations during each step. Do this weekly. Your observations will often be used to answer questions within your lab report. So they wanted me to go over how to use Excel to graph this data with you. And you might not be using Excel, but a lot of other programs that are similar to Excel work very similarly. And this is, I think it's Excel 2016. So we will want to graph this data from the pre-lab that you graphed by hand. So we'll write time and hours and position in miles. And then for the time, it's 0.00, 0.25, 0.50, 0.75, 1.00, 1.25, 1.50, 1.75, and 2.00. Another way to do this would be, if you notice, it's increments of increasing 0.25. So you could have done 0 and then equals this plus 0.25. And then you can drag it down and you will get the same. So I just wanted to show you so that you know you could do that. I'm gonna delete this. And then for position, there's 42, 57, 61, 74, 82, 78, 95, 95, and 101. And if you notice, the decimal place for time goes to the 100th, and this just automatically formats to what it wants. And so you'll want it to be consistent. So you can use these to adjust the decimal place. So we will want to increase the decimal, well, no, we want it to the 100th, so we'll decrease it 1, and see now it's consistent. So now we'll want to graph the data. So you'll highlight the data, and then you go to Insert, and then you'll want a scatter plot. So it's like the little dots, and you'll want this one. And so if you notice, it doesn't have the axes or the trend line. So what we'll want to do is select the graph and then go to add chart elements. So we'll want to add an x-axis, and then we'll want to add a vertical axis, so the y-axis, and then we'll also want to add a trend line. So it's a linear trend. So what you'll do is, this is position in miles. And then this is time in hours. Oh. And then for the chart title, we could do position in miles over time in hours. I don't know exactly what this data was from, so your title should probably be more descriptive than that, but this is how you would read a graph is y over x, so position over time. So we're not quite done yet because we'll want the equation for this trend line. But I think if you side click format trend line, and then display equation on chart. And then they also wanted me to show you how to take your data from Excel and put into a Word document. So that would be kind of like what you need to do to put it into your lab report. So you do Control-C to copy, or you can do from home, you can do copy. And then let's open up Word. And then instead of just pasting, you'll want to do paste special. And then I usually do a picture, a JPEG. So you won't get any weird formatting issues. This is a picture now. And so it'll act like a picture instead of, you can't change this. So if you messed up for some reason, you would have to go back into Excel. And then you could copy it and paste it as an image again once you fixed whatever you messed up. All right, so now we're ready to start the lab.